Henry David Thoreau once said, "We are in our truest lives when we are in our dreams while we are wide awake." But however, if you ask most people, do you even believe that that is possible? They'd say, hell no, I don't believe that's possible. And the problem is that means that's where that bar is set for you in your life. And how does the bar get set so incredibly low? It's because 75% of our population has experienced loss, trauma, or betrayal from someone who was supposed to love us. And more often than not, it happened in our childhood. And it reshaped our whole future to become. So you gotta let that go. And here's what we're looking for in the comments today. What would you like to go back and share with your younger self? We're gonna do our tag team format again. Dr. Cliff and I are each going to come up with 3 things, but I'm gonna surprise him. And he gets to go first this time.
All right, so my number 1 would be to lean in, be courageous. Because I think as younger, I was always holding myself back and being reserved instead of really leaning in to whatever I wanted because I was afraid of who I could become.
All right, great stuff. And recently I had this conversation with my kids, so I'm gonna use that for inspiration. My daughter taught me the number 1 thing she learned from me is to never give up. And I would love to go back to my younger self and say never give up, although evidently you must have knew that lesson anyways. Dr. Cliff, what's your number 2?
My number 2 would be the Jocko one where it's good. Whatever happens, good. Just get up one more time and whatever's happening, it's happening for a reason for you to be able to show up in whatever way you need to show up on your path.
All right, I'm gonna go with my number 2, and once again, this one did turn out well for me, but I'd like to have figured it out earlier than not. And that is, my son said, "Dad, you taught me," and he gave a dramatic pause, and he said, "I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me." And it might not sound so good, but it really is great. To quote Dr. Wayne Dyer, you have to be independent of the good opinion for others. Of course, I want people to love me, but if I'm trying too hard and concerning myself with their opinion, it's really a form of bondage in this world. What's your next one?
My 3rd one is don't take yourself so seriously. I was so worried sometimes what people would think of me if I did things instead of me just being who I was and true to myself and really having fun. And I'd probably tell myself, have fun and don't stress because a lot of things you just don't have control over.
My number 3. I'd like to go back and tell my younger self, and I do actually still struggle with this one as an adult. I'd go back and I'd say, little Johnny, focus in on what it is you can control and only what you can control. And I'd say, well, Johnny, what is it that I can actually control? And I'd say, son, go look in the mirror. The only thing you can control is you, and get really good at that, because most adults who are really unhappy, they're thinking they can control way more than they can, and in turn, they can't even control themselves. It is a miserable experience in life. And as I did in the last video, my little Steve Jobs one more. At one time, I wanted my younger self to die, and I thought he was just a scared, punk little kid. And as I really reflected back on my life, little Johnny, he was actually quite a badass to go through all of the abuse, physically, mentally, and sexually, that he endured. And I'd go back and say to that kid, you are a warrior. Does that mean you have one more, which really makes it 2 more? Which that shit's even going above and beyond Steve Jobs, by the way.
I'm gonna say, no, I don't know. Like, I have so many thoughts running through my head after you said the one more. For me, like,
I think he's still holding back, people.
I know. I would say that would be probably my one more. Don't hold back. Just let it all go. Be who God designed you to be and show up and play full out.
Excellent job, my great brother. And we'll see you next time.